churches today, there's so much revelation going on about life. We hear it in Ezekiel, the prophet. We hear it in St. Paul, and it's very clear in the gospel today. It's an amazing story, and it builds on the other two readings, which doesn't always happen on Sunday, but this Sunday it does. And we're getting ready now for Holy Week. So the great confrontation is coming between Jesus and the leaders and the people at the time. Now, what's this all about? I think many people are puzzled, first of all, by the idea that when Jesus finds out that Lazarus is sick, he does nothing. That seems rather odd, to say the least. And that's why Martha and Mary both kind of scold him culturally. When he does get there, they say, if you had been here, you get that. Okay? Why did he not do anything? Well, there's a reason. It's all in the culture. At the time, the common belief was this, that when somebody died, their spirit kind of hovered around for at least 2 days, probably 3. So they weren't really dead, they were just sort of dead. Okay? And we have those interesting stories in the gospel where Jesus raises someone. For example, the son of the widow of Nain, remember that one? But Jesus himself never says the boy is dead. Go back and look, you'll see that. Or the story about the daughter of Jairus. In fact, Jesus says specifically she's not dead. And people make fun of him. Remember that one? But in this one, he specifically says, Lazarus is dead. He wants no doubt about that. He says it, and he waits. So those days pass. And when they finally get there to Bethany, it's 4 days in the tomb already. There's no doubt that Lazarus is dead. And in fact, we even have that line that they say, the women repeat to Jesus, by now it's going to stink. He's been in there 4 days. He's dead. Why does he want this? So that nobody can start a story that, oh, this was play acting, or it was some magic trick that he did, or, it's by the evil one that he does this. No, they can't come up with any argument against it because everybody knows he's dead. No question. That's when he arrives, when Jesus arrives. What a setting. Imagine the tension already built up. And so, Jesus is going to reveal himself in a particular way here because he set the stage for it. I don't know if you caught that in this gospel there are a number of titles getting thrown around, like Son of God and the Anointed One. Those are both titles. Also, Lord got used in here. It's not just throw around. We like to say Lord Jesus. Well, they didn't do that. Lord was a divine title. Son of God, quasi-divine, because in that culture, particularly in the Eastern world of their place, a lot of kings would claim to be sons of God. So they'd use that title too. And later, as we know in the Roman Empire, even the Roman emperors started using this Eastern kind of idea that the emperor was divine somehow, and they might use the title Son of God. But one thing none of them ever did, not one of those kings and not one of those Roman emperors, not one of them said they could raise the dead. We have no record of that ever occurring. They said all kinds of crazy things, but never that. Smart. If they said it and couldn't do it, so they never said it. And the Jewish people in Palestine would have never used that term, Son of God, sloppily. They'd be very careful about how they use that. And Martha uses it specifically in this gospel. I have come to believe, she says, that you are the anointed one. That is, you're either a priest or a king or both. Christ, she said, the Greek word. The Son of God. She didn't say the Son of Man. Remember that Son of Man title got used quite often. Jesus uses it of himself. Son of David and Son of Man. Son of David. Why? He's a descendant of King David. Son of Man. Remember all that stuff? I told you this before, but I'll refresh your memory in case you're forgetting. Remember, they had an idea in literature, never got in the Bible, about the Son of Man, that he was going to be this kind of military hero for them that would lead them into victory, set up the independent kingdom again, get a son of David, back on the throne, maybe him, and get rid of the bad high priest and get in the good ones. So, independence, new king, new temple worship. That's what the Son of Man was going to do, they thought. And Jesus kept telling them, the Son of Man must suffer. And they kept saying, no, no, no. And he kept saying, yes, yes, yes. And they kept arguing this one. Remember, even St. Peter doesn't get it. The disciples on the road to Emmaus after the resurrection, they still don't get it. Because they thought the Son of Man was going to do all this cool military hero stuff. And that's not what Jesus did. He told them it would be different. But here the title is the Son of God. And for those people, these Jewish people, that is an extraordinary claim. It's way beyond something even they would say about their kings. What? They never called their king Son of God, I can assure you, ever. They're referred to as sons of God in the Psalms, the Hebrew people. That's it. Okay, the Son of God, not one of the sons of God. It's very different. Martha gets it. Mary gets it. These two women get that Jesus is far beyond their military hero figure, that Jesus is far beyond a prophet, that there's something divine about him. At least they get that. They're not going to formulate the doctrine of the Trinity, believe me, but they're getting something is going on here. And he's not what he seems to be. He's more than that. They get it. I have come to believe that you are the Christ, the Anointed One. You're a prophet or a king or something. Both. Priest. The Son of God. Wow. In other words, Martha's saying, you have power over life and death. Unlike any king, you've got that power. You can give life. I've come to believe that. And so Jesus speaks to her faith and reveals, I am resurrection and life. I'm not like it. I don't give it. I'm it. It's personal. It's not a concept anymore. Wow. This is a huge moment in Revelation. And these people have to be on needles and pins about this. What's he going to do to demonstrate it? He said it. What's he going to do to show it? And suddenly calls out for Lazarus to come out of the tomb. And John even says the dead man came out. Wow. You would imagine at this moment the word would spread boom, all through the area. And people would say, does this mean God is really among us in some way? Or what's the result? Well, if you read chapter 12 in John, it's the next chapter, John tells you right at the beginning. Because of this, they plotted to kill him. That's the result. And they didn't want to just kill him, they also wanted to kill Lazarus. It's in chapter 12. Read it. It's all there. Isn't that amazing? That they see this thing happen and they're terrified of it. They're not enlivened, they're terrified. What do? The leaders go running to the high priest, Caiaphas, and they say, what are we going to do? People are going to follow this guy. What are they thinking? They're thinking he's the Son of Man who's going to start the revolution against Rome. How do I know that? Read chapter 12. It's all there. They tell Caiaphas, they're going to follow him, and the Romans are going to come and destroy our temple and our city, and they're going to kill people. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What? And what does Caiaphas do? He's the high priest. Think Mediterranean, honor, shame. He's got the highest level of honor, so he puts them down. He says, you know nothing. He's calling them a bunch of nincompoops, if you will. Okay? Listen, you knuckleheads. This is what you need to do. If you don't want that to happen, we kill this son of a gun. We rub him out. You're too chicken to say it, but the high priest, oh boy, he knew. You kill him. And we'll get his little friend, too, while we're at it. Kill him as well. Just kill him. And that'll stop all this craziness. They'll stop following this would-be Messiah, this guy who's a fake, who's creating this stuff out in Bethany. We'll take care of this. I know how to do it. You don't know how, but I know how. I got the guts. You see the attitude. It's all there in chapter 12 of St. John. You see how he took something that was good. How do we protect the city and the people? And turned it into something evil. The most awful murder in the history of the world. Masquerading under something good. Do we ever do that? Not us. We never masquerade evil under good, do we? Yeah, we do as a culture. You can think of ways, so can I. We can do something good for a bad reason. And we can do bad things for good reasons. So we can get ourselves all screwed up. And that's what's going on in this story. The reaction is killing. But Jesus, walking through all this, tells the people something extraordinary. When the dead man comes out, he doesn't say, aha, I told you, and now all of you stand around in awe at me and bow down to the ground and say, oh, so wonderful, etc., etc. No, he gives them something to do. What does he do? He tells them, you do something. Untie him. You do it. He didn't do it. He told them to do it. Once you know something, once it's professed out of faith, then what? Then you've got to do something. It's not enough to have faith. That's half the story. You see how faith and works go together? This is a great example, this story. Believe in me. I am the resurrection and the life. Now do something about it. Untie him and let him go. Who are the people in your world, in your life, that are tied up and need to be unbound? I can think of so many people, for example, that come here, that are bound by what? By addictions, for example. Alcohol, pornography, drugs. Sometimes put them all together. You talk about being a slave. They're slaves, and they know it. That's why they're coming for help. There's that. What about people who are bound by relationships or stupid things they did in the past to hurt people? And they're still carrying that around. Or recently we've had a whole lot of people come for confessions. And very often there are situations that have gone on for years and years and years and had some more years. And they were afraid to come. They were bound. They were bound. How about homeless people? How about people with a lousy education? They're all bound. The Lord has told me and you, untie them and let them go. Maybe I can't succeed all the time, but maybe I can succeed sometimes. Maybe I can at least loosen the knot a bit if I can't get it completely undone. But I can do it. You see, when you begin to care about another person, you develop empathy. Empathy is something like this. Here's a description. It's different than saying, I could be that person. It's more like, I am that person. Oh boy, that shifts the feeling, doesn't it? If I am the one who needs a better education, instead of, I could be that one, and I move a little more quickly. I'm a little more generous. You see how it changes everything. Move from thinking possibility to reality, from could be to am. That's empathy, and Jesus has it. How do we know that? This story tells us that. That word perturbed they use in there is kind of a nice one in English, but if you go to the Greek, it's a gut-wrenching kind of thing. It's like Jesus was, ugh! Like that. That kind of effect. That's not perturbed. That's really stirred in his guts. It's a gut-wrenching kind of emotion that he has, that he feels about his friend. It's so beautifully illustrated in that St. John's Bible. Go look at it. It's open to that page right now. Sisters and brothers, that's the kind of empathy you need to have for your fellow sisters and brothers. For those you can help. Those you can help untie their bonds, or at least loosen them. He tells you, he tells me, go do it. Don't just stand there and believe. Do something about it. What will you do this week? How will you train yourself to notice and then do something about it? I'll leave that with you. Work on it.